Highly recommended throughout the Isle of Man.
And it is 23 minutes past 2 and we're on a Conister Rock special with Phil Edge, Southern 100 press officer, of course, this afternoon, having a lovely chat. And you mentioned earlier, Phil, Scarborough. You talked about that, going to Scarborough when you were young. And you call it England's only pure road race. And I'm assuming that watching that was one of the things that sort of cemented your love of roads over sort of tracks and circuits, was it?
Yes, certainly. It's a unique... called the Parkland Circuit, but part of the circuit is one of the main roads in and out of Scarborough. So it is a real road race track, and it's say it was early 50s when I went. It first started in 1946, put on by the Scarborough Corporation at the time to welcome the troops home from the war, as a thank you gesture for what they'd done. And it carried on. It had its ups and downs, and it's been on the up until last year, unfortunately. But certainly a good circuit. Brought many a future world champion there, and world champions have gone back afterwards and raced there, and it's been a good venue. And it's again not one for the faint-hearted.
As the Southern 100 isn't one for the faint-hearted either,
no,
is it?
Not, no.
Even the chaps yesterday, our cycle guest yesterday was saying that it makes them very nervous going out on the Southern 100.
Yes, there's a different way with the Southern compared to the mountain course, whereas riders have time to relax on the mountain course, as silly as that sounds. Whereas round got 4.25 mile round Balan, and you don't have time to relax. The corners and the chicanery and everything is coming up so fast. You just can't relax at all.
And I mean, you've ridden bikes before, but you've never actually raced, have you?
No, never had the chance to race. No.
Would you have wanted to?
I would have done. I think yes. Had I been able to, I think it would have been something I realised I couldn't do, so I didn't try to pursue it. So I moved on to the organisation side, and then organisation side, and like I say, then the press side, but still on the organisation side.
Because I think it's one thing that we talk about quite a lot when it comes to TT and Southern 100 time and Manx Grand Prix as well, is that there is something about the riders. They just have a slightly different brain, I think, to the rest of us, don't they?
There's something very special, yes.
And you have that sort of unique perspective in that you get to know a lot of the riders sort of both on and off the course, don't you?
Yes, it's... I think over the years, the number of riders I've got to know, some better than others, obviously, and it's nice when you still see them at circuits. They might they're watching and they still remember you and say hello, Phil, or how are you, and all the rest of it. Years on, and I've had some come up to me, fairly recently and saying, "Oh, how are you?" And I thought, "Who are you?" At first, they've had to say who they are, but it's just nice that you are remembered, and it's a pleasure to be part of it all.
I can imagine.
And a privilege.
Yeah, very well said. And okay, would it be mean then to ask who have been your favourites over the years?
Oh, I suppose one of my early heroes was obviously Jeff Duke, who I had the privilege of meeting and becoming a friend. So that's something special. John Surtees is another person I met as a youngster who remembered me right up until his unfortunate death a few years ago. Bob McIntyre, of course, and I had the lovely privilege of meeting his daughter at the post-TT meeting at the Balan this year, which was very enjoyable on that side. Another one is Mike Harewood, of course, who I got to know very well. Joey Dunlop. It goes on and on, but...
Do you think now, speaking of those names, the Halewoods and the Dukes and the Dunlops, do you think, because to me, they have that sort of iconic status, they sort of feel almost like rock stars, they're celebrities, weren't they? Do you think that could ever come around again? Do you think they could ever be those sort of big celebrities now, or is it all sort of changed in that respect?
Yes, I think there's... perhaps don't have the same aura about them these days. It's just something special. And so that little bit better, no, not better, but different to the present day ones. They've still got the John McGuinnesses and the Michael Dunlops, still fantastic, great riders. but they've just got to do that little bit extra to get up with the likes of those. I know it's different eras and different racing machines and everything like that, and you could argue till the cows come home and you still wouldn't get to who was the greatest, but certainly there's just something special about the likes of those.
Do you think maybe, because obviously with your line of work, with being the press officer and media liaison, do you think part of it is possibly the way that's all changed? Because now it almost feels like they're a lot more accessible because they're all over social media themselves and you can tweet them or you can, sort of tag them in an Instagram picture. Whereas in those days with the Jeff Dukes and even the Dunlops of their time, they were a bit more removed, weren't they? A bit less sort of accessible.
Yes, I think they're perhaps a lot more reserved. Publicity shy. Joey certainly was. I don't think Jeff was over enamoured with microphones being pushed into his face, and they got to know certain journalists who they would talk to and tell them far more. The pushy ways which you have to be sometimes today wouldn't suit them at all.
Well, tell us, Phil Edge, about your next piece of music, which I think might surprise a few people.
And Shirley Bassey and Big Spender. Again, it's memories. One, I've been fortunate to see Shirley live twice.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
First time was at Batley Variety Club many years ago, and then later on at the Apollo Theatre in Manchester. And I felt totally underdressed in a lounge suit and tie. Everybody seemed to be in full dinner suits and bow ties, the men. The ladies in full evening dress, and all the men with roses to throw on the stage at her and whatever. But a fantastic performer, still is. And she was performing earlier this year at the Royal Albert Hall. And it's a lovely memory. She's another artist, and my dear late friend Gordon Clegg, he also thoroughly enjoyed her. So it's a memory of Gordon as well.